Good morning, children. Today we are here in a very complicated situation. We know it is the time period of lockdown, and I wish and I would like to tell you that you should stay inside your houses, maintain social distancing, and please maintain the proper hygiene, which is very important for us at this very moment. I hope you know me. We are well acquainted with each other. Now, this class we are going to discuss about a poem which I have already started in the last class. I hope you have seen the PDF, and half of the poem, or less than half, not more, so had been already discussed and explained. I have taken this book, Roots, and now I know it is not coming to the proper, however you can understand easily, Roots, and I have discussed the poem, The Invention of Shoes. Today I would like to tell you, let us recapitulate a little bit. I have already discussed that it is a poem which conveys a powerful message about what happens when someone in power is very whimsical in taking the decision. Here we find out that King Hobu instructs his minister Gobu about what he had been thinking last night. This class is for class 8, and I'm going to discuss the poem The Invention of Shoes. Here we'll find out a king whose name is King Hobu, and he instructs his minister Gobu that he had been thinking about something very carefully, and it was that whenever he walked, his feet were made dirty by the dust. See this line? Should land on the street that come to be sullied by dust. Now his feet, whenever they landed on the street, they became dirty due to the dust on the street. At the same time, we find out King Hobu complains Minister Gobu about the wages, about the fat salary that was being drawn by all the ministers, the courtiers, the scientists and all. Though they drew fat wages, however, they didn't care a straw. Means they did not care in the slightest. About what? About the demands of the king, what they are supposed to do to the king. He says, it's a rank plot to foil me. That means that Gobu and rest of the ministers were not honest to him, even though they were paid a heavy salary, a fat salary by the king. They didn't care about the king, and according to the king, it was dishonesty and plotting. He says that though the land belongs to him, it was his kingdom, but what it does to him, it makes his feet dirty. See this line? My own soil to soil me. What does this mean? The king was the owner of the land. It was his kingdom. But what happens here? It is his own soil, his own kingdom, his own earth that makes his feet dirty. I simply won't stand such a thing. That means he is not going to tolerate. He doesn't want to tolerate. He says that he won't tolerate such thing happening to him. And he demands that his minister Gobu should find out a solution to this. Otherwise, What he says? He warns them, saying that if they are unable to find out a solution, then they will be destined to swift dissolution. What is dissolution? Dissolution means death. That means they will be destined to swift death. That is, they will be punished by the king. The terrified minister at these words sinister. What does this mean? See, sinister means seemed evil or dangerous. So the ministers at this moment, what did they do? They started thinking that something bad is going to happen to them. So what happened? They broke into cold sweat with fright. That means they started sweating a lot because of fear. They were afraid of the king, as the king had warned that if they won't find out a solution, they will be killed, they will be punished. The Pandits grew pale. Pandits means priests. They grew pale because they were not able to find a solution to this. The courtiers who once hell means who were once strong and healthy, they lay sleeplessly, tossing all night. That means they moved from side to side, back and forth, and spent sleepless night. In the minister's home, we have already seen the name of the minister, Minister Gobu. So at his home, what happened? There was weeping and gloom. Weeping and gloom means there was a state of depression, a state of sadness. The fires in the kitchen grew cold. The family did not even cook anything. That means they did not have anything to eat that night. Till crazed with fears, his beard drenched in tears. That means who is being referred to here? You see the next line. He fell at the king's feet and told. That means here it refers to King Hobu or Minister Gobu. Here the person referred to as he is Minister Gobu. And what he does? He became insane, wild with fear. Crazed means wild or insane. And what happened? His beard was drenched in tears. That means was fully wet with the tears. And what did he do? He went to the king, fell at his feet and told, "How can we live if denied the dust from your feet sanctified?" So the holy dust, or rather the dust that were made holy from the king's feet. So if there are no dust on the king's feet, then it would be impossible for them to live in this world. Now King Hobu said that that was a question indeed. That means how Minister Gobu would get the holy dust from the king's feet. However, the king said that maybe should come after must. That means first the ministers, that is Minister Gobu and rest, should think how they could drive out the dust. And then they should think, or rather here the king says that he would think about the theory of dust from the feet. That means first they should give importance to the fact how the dust should be driven out. So here he says maybe should come after must. And he said that he is going to discourse about it later. But first of all, what should be done? They should get rid of the dust. Again he warns them, saying that they are getting good money, means they are getting a fat salary. And it was not a joke. It was not funny. It was not so funny. You can't tackle problems like this. That means he mocks at them, saying that they are unable to solve such simple problems like these. There seems little point why I should appoint these scientists with long degrees. So deal with the first things first. So he says that he has appointed the scientists with long degrees, and so what should be done? They should get rid of the dust first, or else be prepared for the worst. That means they should be ready for the worst, and I have already told you what is this worst, what worst refers to. Worst actually, remember, the punishment. Thus royally cheated. That means in this way the ministers and others were greatly cheated, that is, scolded or rebuked. Poor Gobu decided to call the wise men of the land. Poor Gobu was very afraid, and so what did he do? He called all the wise men of the land. He called all the fine mechanics of the land, and all of them sat down together in order to find out a solution to the problem. What was the problem? The problem was the king's feet were dirtied by the dust, and they had to do something in order to prevent the king's feet from getting dirty. So they started thinking, and in the meantime they looked at all parts carefully in order to find out a solution. They went on researching, and while researching they took 19 barrels of snuff. What is snuff? It is a tobacco in the form of powder. So there was lot of brainstorming. There was lot of discussion. They said that if they remove the topmost layer, then it would be impossible for them to grow the crops. So it was quite impossible. The king once again cheated them. That is his ministers and the wise men, the mechanics were not able to find out a solution. Ultimately, a solution was found out, and it was decided that they would buy millions of brooms in order to sweep the dust from the kingdom. So, after buying the brooms, what happened next? People started sweeping here and there. The king was not able to breathe. You know very well, when you sweep the dust, what happens? The air is filled up with dust. The king was unable to breathe because there was dust on the street. There was dust from the street, and the dust entered his rooms. Even the people who passed by were blinded with the dust. That means they were not able to see anything because of the dust that flew all around. They coughed, they sneezed in the days. Days means, here you see they coughed and sneezed in the days. Days means they were not able to think and react. It is a thing of bewilderment, you can say. That means they were bewildered. The dust floated down and veiled all the town. There were dust everywhere, and the entire town was covered with dust. Even the sun disappeared in the haze. What is haze? Haze means a slight obscuration of the lower atmosphere, typically caused by the fine suspended particles. Here it refers to the dust. Now the king became really angry at this moment. What have they done? They wanted to clear the dust, but they have added more dust. So in order to remove the dust, to soak that dust with water. What did they do? They brought 2 million watermen, and they pulled out all the water. They drained out all the water from the lakes, filled in their water bags, and they brought that water to soak the dust with water. Now, when the water was drained out from the lake, the boats were not able to sail on the stream because this, now the water was drained out from the lake, and who drew out the water? The watermen. Why did they drew out the water? They drew out the water so that they might soak the dust with the water and once again settle it on the earth. But you see the number. How many watermen came? 2 million. That means they came with more than 2 million water bags. And think about the water. How much water they filled in those water bags. So that means a huge amount of water was drawn out from the lakes, from the streams, and as a result, the lakes and stream became waterless. So, a big problem was faced by those animals who lived there. The water beasts mean animals. So, they died. Why did they die? Because the element where they lived dried. That means the water in the lakes and stream dried. The land beasts struggled to swim. You know, the animals who live on the land, they don't need water to live in, right? So they had to struggle. They had to swim in order to move from one place to another. All business was stuck. That is, all activities became impossible. In the slime refers to an unpleasant, thick, slippery liquid. And the muck means the dirt, rubbish, waste matter. So all the activities were stopped, or all activities became impossible to do in the slime and in the muck. In the slime, I told you, the slippery liquid, because everywhere, got slippery because of the immense water on the earth. And there were rubbish and waste matter everywhere. Even people were suffering from fever. The king once again blamed, calling his ministers, his courtiers and others as army of asses. That means they were very, very stupid. What had they done? They had turned all the dust to morasses. Morasses means a swamp. What have they done? They wanted to remove the dust. But they have brought about more dust by sweeping. Next, they wanted to settle down the dust. But what have they done? Instead of settling the dust, they have converted the area into a swamp. So, once again, talks were held. That is, a lot of discussion took place once more. All the wise men came to attend with reeling eyes. That means they were confused, they were unable to act, and dazed surmise. That means in a state of bewilderment, they started guessing what should be done in order to remove the dust. But all went in vain. They were not able to find out any solution because they found of the dust no end. There was no end of the dust. There was dust all around. One man thought that they would cover the land with mats, or one more suggestion came up that they would lock up the doors tightly of the chamber where the king would sit. So in this way, if they keep the king enclosed all the time, then dust would not be able to enter and made his feet dirty. His feet could not land in the grime. So if the dust could not enter the room, then the king's feet would not land in the dust. That's neat. Now the king said, that's neat. That means that was a good idea. A very tidy way to keep his feet clean. But if he is kept closed inside a room, it would be impossible for him to govern his kingdom, to rule his kingdom. The land meets its doom, and in that case, what would happen? His kingdom would come to an end. I must have my hand on the helm, and being a king, what should be his priority? His priority should be he should have a control over his kingdom. So they spoke again, that is, the ministers and the wise men and the rest of the people, the courtiers, they sat again, they spoke again. A lot of discussion once again took place, and ultimately they spoke. They spoke to the king. They said to the king that they should call a leatherman. Leatherman? Why to call a leatherman now? To sew up the earth in a sack. That means the next suggestion was that to cover the entire earth by leather. Was it possible? Is it a possible task? It was quite an impossible task. It will make a great story to His Majesty's glory. That means putting the earth into the leather bag will bring glory and fame for whom? For the king permanently. And hold all the dust right back. And in this way, they would also be able to keep the dust back from the king's feet. And the only simple device was to call a smart leather man who would cover the entire earth by leather. Now everybody started looking for a leather man, but they were not able to find a leather man. No craftsman found. Neither any craftsman was found, nor hides to go around. That means nor enough leather, hide means leather, was available to cover the entire earth. Even after they knocked all the doors, they started knocking all the doors in order to find out a leather man. But just at this while, there rose with a smile the leather man's grizzled old chief. At this moment, who came there? The old chief of the leather man. That means you see here, see this line please, in the book, page number 25. Here you will find out leather man's grizzled. Grizzled means grey haired old chief. So the chief of the leather men whose hair were grey. So he came there and he asked for the king's permission to speak. He said, "May my lord please permit that I may submit. Please permit me to speak so that I may suggest some solution to the problem of yours. A measure to bring you relief." That means he would find out a measure in order to bring relief. The whole earth you needn't ensheath. That means you need not to cover. Ensheath means to cover. You need not to cover the whole earth. Instead of covering the whole earth, what you need to do? You need to cover your feet. Pooh, were it so easy, we wouldn't be busy, the king said. The king asked if it was so easy to solve this problem, when all his ministers, the learned ones, have already failed to find a solution to this problem. The minister immediately railed. Who is this minister? Minister here refers to Minister Gobu. So he immediately railed. That means he protested strongly, saying that if this man's idea that is the leather man's, the chief's idea fails, then what should be done? He should be pierced with a sharp instrument. See, let him be impaled. That means let he be punished. He should be pierced with a sharp instrument, or bind him, that is, he should be tied and thrown into the prison. But the old man was not at all afraid on hearing this. Rather, what did he do? He sat down at the foot of the throne and started making a shoe for the king. At the end, the royal feet were beautifully dressed, and Gobu ultimately said that he had already this idea of making shoe in his mind, but somehow this poor fellow, that is the leatherman, the chief of the leathermen, had already guessed it. So in this way the shoes were invented, the earth was saved, and Minister Gobu was also contented, satisfied. That is, he did not have to lose anything. He did not lose anything. He was saved at the end. So this is it. We have come to the end of the poem. I hope you have understood. There are meanings given at the side with the heading word bank. You have to learn the meanings. At the same time, in page number 25, you will find out something written about the poet. This poem is composed by Rabindranath Tagore. I hope all of you know that. And it was translated by Sukhendu Ray and Sukanto Chaudhary. So please go through this. In page number 26, you will find out some questions from the chapter, and you need to do all this. I am just showing you this portion. Comprehension, page number 26. For your assignment, kindly refer to page number 26, comprehension part. The questions are given. Try to write down the answers in your copy, and the answers will be checked later on. So kindly write down all the question answers, and I hope you have a nice time until my next video is uploaded. Thank you.